Can everyone see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, nice. Okay, so hi everyone. I am Catherine Lee. I'm a second year student at UBC, currently in doing a major in chemical biology. And in my first year at UBC, I did a program called Science One. Um, so just some things about me. I was born and raised in Edmonton, Alberta. Oh, I think someone's mic might be on. I'll just, there. So I was born and raised in Edmonton, Alberta, and I attended Strathcona High School. Um, During high school, I was quite academically successful. I was able to win multiple academic awards. And during my first year at UBC, I was also able to get some scholarships and awards. I'm currently, like I said, attending UBC with a major in at UBC and a combined major in chemical biology, which is just a fancy term for chemistry major and biology major. So I just want to go into some stuff about my first year. So in my first year, I was a student at the Faculty of Science in the Science One program. And what's a little bit interesting and different about UBC is that in first year, I'm assuming most of you guys applied to UBC because the application deadline was like yesterday. But at UBC Science, you don't choose your major until second year. This means for first year students, you actually take a very wide variety of science courses, including physics, math, chemistry, biology. You could take computer science too. And it's common across almost all first year science students to take the same courses. And then you make your decision for specialization in second year. And Science One, that means when you go into Science One, if you do it, you still take the same courses. They just don't have like a name like Physics 101, but you do take everything you need to move on and be promoted into second year. First year was challenging. I moved to a different province. I had like zero friends, like none of my high school friends went to UBC. My time management skills were pretty awful because now I had to juggle living alone with studying, with commuting and traveling. And Science One is, and in general, first year is very different from high school. Even if you're in an AP or IB program, it's a much more difficult workload, and everything comes at you much faster. So basically, I had to throw away all my high school studying habits, which I thought were quite good, and completely replace them, which was really difficult. But first year was fun, and I enjoyed first year, and a lot of that had to do with Science One. So what is Science One? Science One is an interdisciplinary first year science program. This basically just means you have standardized timetables, so you don't have to create your own schedule. And you are within a class with about 80 people and 8 dedicated professors. And you're with these same 80 people for the entire year. And you're also with the same 8 professors. This is really nice because first year university, especially if you're moving to a new province, might feel a bit lonely because you don't really know anyone. But if you're stuck with the same 80 people, and you struggle together and you are successful together, you build a lot of friendships, which is really nice. I don't think I would have made the friends that I did if I didn't go into Science One. And you also have 8 dedicated professors. This is extremely different from first year, other first year classes, which sees like hundreds of people in one class. The professors will barely know who they're teaching, but in Science One, you get to really know your professors, and they get to really know you, which is really useful with reference letters or getting recommendations. A lot of my friends were able to get research positions because they knew the professors well, and the professors could write a really meaningful reference letter for them. But it is a really rigorous program. It's harder, I would say harder than first year, mostly because some of the content is harder. You learn some things that other first year courses don't teach, sometimes something more honors level. The biggest challenge is the workload. It's a much harder workload than other science courses, which has a lot to do with some of the extra stuff I'll talk about that Science 1 kind of makes you do. But overall, it was a really fun program. So some benefits and challenges for Science 1. So first I'll talk about the benefits. So since it's a rigorous program, it really helps you prepare for upper year courses. From Science 1 alumni that move on into their specializations, they've all said that they didn't really find second year or third year classes that difficult, and they didn't really have to adjust their work, their study habits or time management, because they learned all of that in first year. And one of the things I was really scared about going into Science 1 was doing badly, but they had a little sentence on their website that was like, would you rather do badly in first year, or would you rather do badly in upper year courses where it actually matters more? So basically, make your first year a little harder, learn some skills, but then you're basically set up for success in your upper years. And those upper years are what are really important for medical school or graduate school. Also, like I said before, it's an extremely close-knit community of peers and professors. Your professors are almost like kind of like your friends. Like you really get to know them, and you really get to know all the people that are in your class, which once again is difficult in university, but Science 1 makes it easier. There's also a lot of fun opportunities unique to Science 1. So things had to change a little bit because of the pandemic, but in my year, we went on a Bamfield trip. So Bamfield is like a research center a little off of Vancouver Island, which was not something that other UBC first year science students got to do. And we were able to do we were able to go on the coast and explore and have a lot of fun during Bamfield. And this is really early on. And I hope when you guys apply to Science 1, things will be better and you'll be able to experience that trip, because it got canceled this year, sadly. Another opportunity is research. In first year, you don't get a lot of research opportunities, but during Science 1, there's 2 projects, a term 1 project and a term 2 project. And essentially for both, you write a research paper. And the term 2 one is really big. It's basically you partner up with someone and you can do your own independent research while you're supervised by a professor. This was a really fun opportunity. Me and my partner actually did a research paper about if a baseball, how much does a baseball have to spin to break someone's leg? So you have a lot of interesting things you can do with that. And it's really great because there's even an opportunity that you can have your research paper published in a UBC hosted site, which is definitely not something many first year students get to do. This year, because it's not in person, the Science 1 professors actually, I think, sent the students Arduinos, and they learned some stuff about Arduinos so that the students can do their T2 project even with all the online learning. And finally, if you're like me, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Leaving high school, I was like, maybe I could do math, maybe I could do physics or chemistry or biology. I had no idea. What's great about Science 1 is that it meets the prerequisite for almost every second year science specialization. So if you take Science 1, you're basically eligible for everything going into second year. You don't have to worry about missing this course or taking this course. You're basically fine for everything. But this is one of the things I put in challenges. It's less specialized. So for people who know that they want to do, say, physics, you might not enjoy the biology parts of Science 1 because you'll still be taking biology courses. Also, important note, if you're going into computer science, that's the one area in Science 1 that's not covered as much, and you might have to take extra computer science courses. They do a little bit of coding, but most of my friends who went into computer science did take an extra computer science course either in the summer term or during the year. And another note is that Science 1 does not include any English courses, so you're going to have to take those separately. Some other challenges was, once again, it's a huge time commitment. Especially with the research projects. Essentially the term 2 research project is like a class of its own. So like it's like taking a separate 3 credit course. It takes a lot of time. Um, there's a lot less time for extracurriculars because Science 1 is about, if I'm remembering correctly, Science 1 is 27 credits in total, plus a 2 credit lab that's automatically attached onto Science 1. So you're doing 29 credits. And usually students take 30 credits. So you don't really have that much room for an extra class, maybe one English class, but I don't recommend taking 6 or 7 courses in your first semester because it's really difficult. So there's that. If you want to take extracurriculars, you might not be able to until second or third year. But it helped me a lot. It made my second year easier. Like lots of the stuff I found in second year, I already knew, I already learned in Science 1. Also, I have a lot of close friends that I talk to a lot because of Science 1. And that's helped me get through this semester because it's online university isn't fun, but it's manageable with friends. And I think Science 1 really helps build that community. Even the current Science 1 students online have a really nice community. So my own experience, so like I said before, I had to learn how to balance school, social life, and rest. My biggest advice for anyone going into university is to not study all the time. I'm sure many of you guys are great students, and I was in high school basically someone who only studied. But university is a lot of fun, especially like you're away from your parents. You can do whatever you want basically. And the only reason Science 1 was hard and there were some really rough times, and the only reason I was able to get through Science 1 without breaking down was because I had friends, and I made sure to maybe take Friday evenings off, go out for dinner with friends, hang out with them. You also have to learn how to manage your expectations. In high school, I was really someone who focused on grades, and I'm sure many of you guys may put a lot of importance on how you do in school, but university is a completely different breed. It's like I went into university with a very high average in high school. I did extremely well in high school, and on my first exam, I got like 60%, and then on a math exam, I got like 52%. And that doesn't mean I'm not smart. It just means that university is hard, and you have to learn that you will do bad on something, but it's not the end of the world. Every single one of my friends probably failed at least one quiz or one exam during their time in Science 1 because it's hard. But they all got into the major they wanted to. Many of them are in honors majors or majors that are extremely competitive, such as pharmacology or microbiology. So one bad exam or a few bad exams will not end your university career. And that's really something I want people going into Science 1 or first year university to understand, because there's been too many people who have extremely high expectations. And then when they don't meet those expectations, they get like really let down. So I think you definitely, during my first year, I had to change what I deemed as success. So if I got 60% on one quiz, but then the next quiz I get 75%, that's a 15% increase. And 75% in high school would have made me really sad. But that clear improvement should be something seen as successful. And then you can slowly do better, and the professors will always be there to support you and help you do well. So the math exam I got 50% on, the next math exam I got 90% on, because you talk to your professors, you learn what you did wrong, and you change. So if you do bad on some first year quizzes, everyone does bad on something in first year. Even the best students will do poorly on something. So that's my biggest advice, is to manage your expectations, manage how you look at yourself. Don't define yourself by grades, and don't define your success on grades, and don't worry too much, because everyone in Science 1 no one failed Science 1, and everyone was able to get into a major they wanted. How to apply. So if you're interested in Science 1, applications are currently open. You can apply before April 30th, but applications after April 30th will still be considered, except they'll be considered at lower priority. So I recommend anyone applying to apply before April 30th. The applications is quite similar to your UBC applications. You will have to provide grades, any final grades you can, some midterm grades. They'll ask you about your extracurriculars and some of your accomplishments. And then you will need to write a short essay, and they will provide you several prompts. But then you just have to choose a prompt and write an essay. And my advice for the essay is universities and programs get a lot of applications. They read a lot of essays, and you want to stand out. So do not write your essay on what you think they want to hear, but write it just like what you want to write. Like I wrote a pretty critical essay on science. Like my essay was kind of, I wouldn't say negative, but it was really critical about certain aspects of science that I didn't like. But I think that's what made it unique. So be yourself and don't write an essay that you think what the Science 1 professors will want to read. Because I know the Science 1 professors, and they want unique perspectives and you to be yourself. And all information, so anything I didn't talk about, can be found at their website. So if you just search up Science 1 UBC, you'll be able to get to this website. And after this webinar, if you still have questions for me, I can be contacted at that email. So that's my UBC email. And if you want more specific questions about Science 1, you can contact Lucia, who is the program administrator, at her email there, Chris Addison, the program director, and one of your chemistry professors, and James Charbonneau, the physics professor and associate director. They are all really willing to help you, and they want to help you. So if you have any more specific questions, please email them. And I'll leave this up so you guys can take a picture or anything. But thank you for listening to my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. And so I can see that some of our audience have questions posted, but just before that, I would just want to have some like a conversation with you. I think on this, I can actually summarize what you tell us. Basically, this program is unique in, I would say, like probably 3 ways. First of all, it's on an academic level. So it's very rigorous, it's very challenging in terms of content. And also in terms of the workload is also heavy because it's like what, 29 credits. So basically you really have to work day and night, I think, on first year, right? So that's on the challenging on the academic side. But on the personal, I mean, the experience level, so this is more like a kind of a smaller group, and you actually stay with that group. That's the beautiful program. You get to know each other better. I mean, the students as well as the professors better, and that's for the whole year, those 8 professors will stay with you and work with you. So I think that's unique. That's a precious 1 year time.
Very.
Yeah, definitely. That's like, and also I think another unique point is really the research project. Well, it's the first year you can start with 2 projects, 1 on each term, right? So that's great. You can go field trip, you can study in the natures and all that. That's exciting for a first year. So yeah, so that's my notes for the Science 1. So I'm sure all other students, parents may have other questions. You can always add on to that. And next one, I want to reflect a little bit on what you mentioned about the grade for first year. We're talking about, students, everyone, if you're going to university this year, next year, managing your expectations. I would say I've heard many of you, people like you who are in the second year, third year, mentioned this before during one of our webinars. He says, I was like the top students, #1 in my school, in my district, but I go to university, oh my God, I'm like 50%, 60%. Well, on the one hand, it's actually natural because you are the best one in your district, but hey, in that particular university, those are all the best students from the world, right? I mean, in a way. So of course, the competition, it's it's pretty severe. So that's one thing. I would say another one I would like to reflect. It's also about study in high school and study in the university is quite different.
Yes, 100%.
That's right. I mean, the way you study and also the way the professor assess you will be pretty much different from how high
Mhm.
school teacher assess you. So the way the method of assessment is different. So that's
Yeah,
why, I mean, it's very critical for first year students really to adapt yourself, look at how you should be studying and how you are using your time wisely to,
definitely.
yeah, and also look at what are the requirements from your professors. I mean, talk to professors as much as possible and understand the process, understand their requirement, understand the rubrics for your research papers, all that. So
Mhm.
that's one thing I think kind of advice I can give you to some of the audience here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I I didn't include it in my presentation, but now that you mention it, another big advice that if you ask any upper year, they'll tell you is to prioritize because you don't have time to do everything. So you have to be like, this is more important than this. And that's a really important skill to learn.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. I've heard it like again and again from many of these
Mhm.
students. Time management, like
Yes.
what's most critical, what's urgent, basically the whole thing, right? Urgent and I mean important, right? Those four dimensions, right? You have to really prioritize, look at most urgent and important things
Mhm.
because I mean, everybody's university is a great period of our time, and for everybody, you do want to enjoy part of your social life, part of your hobbies or club as well, not just about study, but you really have to prioritize. So what
Yes.
you have to be doing, especially for the first year, that the real, I mean, it's a transition period for most of people, right? So
Mhm.
time management is critical. Okay, so I think those are my reflections. And okay, let's see what other questions we have got from our audience. Let's see. Number one, I see this question. Um, okay, so I'm not sure about this question, but if any of our audience know the answer, you can always just jump in and help each other.
Mhm.
If you U of T have similar projects, is the science engineering similar? Mm,
Uh,
do you have?
I I don't really know the applied science or the UBC engineering faculty. From what I've heard, I don't think they're similar. They might have overlapping courses, especially with math and physics. But like engineer, I don't think many engineering students will take bio or Chem 123. Um, they might. But I know engineering has an extremely rigorous
Mm.
what's it called, program, and that it's about comparable to science one, so how hard it is and how much you have to work. I think they're very similar to each other, but I don't know many details about engineering.
You're talking about the UBC engineering program, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I think for Cassie, it's about U of T.
Oh, you have
Well,
T.
my experience is I think this science one is quite a unique program as far as I know. So I don't think U of T have anything similar, but maybe I don't know. Maybe I just don't have the most up to date information. So yeah, let's move on to next question from May. What major can we pick after science one? Can we pick computer science after science one?
Yes, you can pick any major. Like if you go on the UBC Science website and you search up specializations, they will have a huge list of specializations and then the required courses. And almost when I was scrolling through, I think every specialization I was interested in had like a list of required courses, and then they'll put and or science one. So Science 1 basically meets the requirements for all the courses, but for computer science, I do think you can choose computer science after Science 1, but and it does meet the requirements, but it's strongly recommended that you take another computer science course, such as Computer Science 110, because even though Science 1, I think, counts as a prerequisite, we don't do a lot of coding. And I think if you go into computer science without a coding class, you're going to feel a bit unprepared unless you're very well versed in comp sci, but you can. you can choose any science major.
Okay. So the next one is also from May. Which top 6 mark?
I'm a little confused what that question's referring to.
So May, if you can you just elaborate a little bit? What do you mean by which top 6 mark? Okay, so I'll move on with the next question. What's the cutoff average to the program, and what's the required course from high school? I think.
Cutoff average. They never release the cutoff average, but I think I'm trying to think of friends. I think some of my friends had averages in the low 90s or 80s, mid 80s probably. Um, I think I don't think averages. If you're an A, I don't know what counts as an A in Toronto, but I'm assuming if you're above an 80 and you have some good extracurriculars and you write a pretty good essay, I don't think you have much to worry about. And required courses from high school, they don't, I don't know about the graduation requirements for Toronto, but for Alberta, so you need your math, you need your English, and then for the sciences, I actually knew some people who didn't take like grade 12 level, maybe physics or grade 12 level chemistry, because I don't know about Toronto, but in Alberta, you don't have to take all the sciences to the highest high school level, but Science 1 still accepted them. So those science courses are probably recommended though. You should probably have those science courses if you want to do well, but I think the website will, when you apply, they'll make it really explicit what's required.
I think just to add to that, I think one thing you need to really consider, because this program only, so each year is on like what, 80 students, right, per year. So
Yeah.
basically the competition is also high. So
Yeah.
I think you really need to get your average high as possible. I mean, because it's a very limited number of students enrolled to this particular program. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, it's about your email. It's just
I saw that. I was like, I should go check if I did it wrong. Because they recently changed the email handle. They're right. I did write it wrong. I'm so sorry, guys. I'll put in my proper email, but it's student.ubc.ca. Sorry for that. They recently changed the email handle for all students.
Okay, thank you. But that was, thank you, Jeffrey. Okay. So May, more about what you need to hand in the 6 courses. What are the? Yeah.
Oh, so was your question like what I applied with for my top 6 grades? If it is, I think science actually has its own requirements for UBC, but I don't really know my top 6 grades off the top of my head. But I'm pretty sure UBC science will definitely take a math. I think they do take English. I think English has to be one of your top 6 marks. Math probably too. And then I feel like they take 1 or 2 sciences. They don't take all 3 sciences. I think you need at least 2 sciences. So chem, bio, physics, like 2 out of those 3. And then the rest are just your highest marks. But English, I know, and I think it's English and 2 sciences are definitely going to be taken in as your mark, even if they're not your highest.
Okay, I hope that answers May's question.
Okay, so I see that there's a question that's how many courses you should take in first year. It was a direct message.
Go ahead.
So in first year, Science 1 is about 29 credits. I took 32 credits. So I took 1 extra course in first sem. I took 1 English in first sem because I just wanted to get an English done. And I think that was a very common course load for most people, about 32 credits. So that's about six, it's approximately equal to 6 courses in one semester and 5 in the other semester. So I think it wasn't bad for me. I didn't find the workload too difficult with an extra English course. I know some people just focused on Science 1 and that also worked for them. I took my second English in summer term because I just wanted to get all my English done. I don't recommend taking like 12 courses, so 6 in each semester. It's overwhelming, especially term 2 research project is another course. It's basically another 3-credit course in terms of workload. And I would also recommend you take the 6 semester. If you do want to take 6 credits and 6 courses in one of the semesters, you do it in your second semester, because first semester you might need to adjust, and having 6 courses off the bat might be difficult. But I did 6 courses right off the bat, and it wasn't that bad because it was English, and English wasn't that difficult of a workload. But if you want to take a more rigorous course, maybe wait till second sem or the summer term or third year or second year, I mean. But yes.
Okay, so we have a question from Lucas.
Mhm.
What kind of courses you need to take in the whole 4 years of high school?
So I took, once again, I'm so sorry, I don't know the Ontario school system, but I took my social, math, and all 3 sciences, so chemistry, physics, and biology, and English all the way to the grade 12 level, which is called the 30 level in Alberta. So I basically did everything to the max level, and then I did art as an option. But when you apply to university, you might want to search up your university application, like courses that they need. They'll often have some kind of chart that will put the course, the high school courses that you need to have. And for science, it was across most universities, it was definitely like, once again, you definitely have to take English to the grade 12 level. I think you also have to take math to the grade 12 level. And then this is something you want to check with each individual university, but most universities I apply to, you only need to take 2 out of the 3 sciences to their max level. But if you want to go into science, I do recommend taking all 3 sciences. And also, I would try and take a calculus course, like a Math 30 AP or some kind of higher level math course, because even introductory calculus goes quite quickly, and it's much better to have a basic knowledge of calculus. So I highly recommend a calculus course.
Okay. Next question from May again. How do you improve your English writing besides reading a lot?
I actually did pretty poorly in high school English until grade 12. So I don't read a lot. Improving English, I think it's definitely a lot of practice. And to an extent, it comes naturally with the more English classes you take. But if you're struggling in English, whether that be reading comprehension or writing, I think you should definitely talk to your teacher, English teacher. Maybe sit down with them, whip out an essay that you wrote, and maybe ask them, can you go through the points I did well and the points I did poorly? If English is your second language, they took in Science 1, they actually quite a few international students. So I don't think having English as a second language will be any kind of disadvantage, because it's a science. Because once again, you're going into science, you're not going into English, so it's not too. I don't think it's that big of a focus. But I would go sit down with an English teacher and just kind of go through everything.
Well, I think I think I can share some of my experience. I think for the writing, well, definitely the reading has to come first, because the more you read, definitely it helps you with the writing. And then
Mhm.
secondly, I would say have more like targeted writing practice, because in university, well, probably one of the challenges you're going to face very pretty soon is about your essay for university. So that's more of a personal narrative, like what Catherine mentioned earlier, how to write something more interesting, something that you're something slightly unique, something different from others, so that you can stand out. So that kind of personal writing, narrative writing, you just need some practice. Maybe teachers can give you some advice. You can look at some of the models and really taking a little bit of diary of what's happening to you daily, and then using those things as something to write about. So that's something. And
Yeah.
then for university, and you're probably looking at like what the research report writing, or even like the
Mhm.
book review writing. I mean, look at all those very targeted writing you are going to do, and then work with a teacher, works with, if there's a program available, works with a program that reinforce those skills. Because in general, I think, especially academic writing, there are certain patterns to follow. How
Yes.
you
Yes,
start,
definitely.
how you push your idea, rationalizing your idea, and then how to come up with a summary. So it's pretty much standard format. So, I mean, there's a way to improve it, definitely. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, let's move on to the next question from Jeffrey. Is it? Yeah, Jeffrey.
How would Okay, so um basically 29 credits in university is about 5 courses each semester, which seems comparable to high school, but it is, Jeffrey, you are correct. It's often a greater workload in a shorter period of time. For example, a unit I did in high school biology was DNA replication and transcription. That took about, I want to say, a month or maybe 2 3 weeks in high school. We did it in like one class, like 2 classes max. So it's just a lot more information in a much shorter period of time. And for my biology experience, it was basically you learn it and next week you have a quiz on it. And then you learn like a lot of stuff in one class, or and especially in one week. So the workload is much faster and the content gets more difficult. So I think that's what makes university more rigorous. It's just shorter because it's only 4 months, and you basically learn all, much more than you do in a year of a high school biology course.
Okay.
Mm,
Next
Kathy's.
from Kathy.
Um, okay, so med school, I found something quite interesting. I don't know where I found it. It might have been on the Science One website, but it talked about how a lot of the Science One alumni, like a very good proportion of the Science One alumni, did get accepted into UBC Med. It's probably a statistic they have on their website. So I do think it's good for medical school. And it's not necessarily good in that, like, you might get poor grades, but med schools usually get rid of your lowest 30 credits. What I think is the most beneficial thing about Science One is you're developing study habits and you're experiencing university at a higher level in first year, which really helps in second, third, and fourth year, where those marks begin to really matter. So it's basically kind of, because first year courses are still a little bit hand-holdy, like compared to second year. Like second year, I won't lie, like there's a noticeable difference in difficulty once you move from first to second year. But Science One kind of introduces that difficulty to you early. So I do think it is beneficial to apply to medical school. And even if you get a lower mark, it's not something you have to worry about because like it won't ruin your med school opportunity. And I have many friends who want to apply to med school.
Okay. So next one is actually a question from Lillian. Which high
Mhm.
school course were the most beneficial for entering Science 1?
Um, I think I'm trying to think. Um, Physics, a lot of physics was new stuff, like completely new. Um, so high school physics helped a little, but if you take physics IB and AP, I think a lot of the stuff is familiar, but I took regular physics, so everything was new anyways. Um, Bio, if you take a bio AP or IB course, a lot of the material that you learn in first year biology at UBC in Science 1 is actually really similar. Um, and then lots of, if you take AP or IB, the questions they ask are quite similar to the questions they asked on the AP exam. They're quite different from regular bio, but the material wise, a lot of it was overlap, especially in term 1. Most helpful class is calculus, like 100%. Um, in Science 1, they teach you calculus from the bottom up, um, but they go fast. Um, so I definitely think if you have the chance to take a calculus class, you should 100% take a calculus class. Even if you don't want to go into Science 1, take a calculus class because university almost assumes you've taken a calculus class, even if you're in the first year calculus. So that's my biggest advice. Take a calculus class.
Just to add on to what you are saying, actually,
Mhm.
um, as we are Upswing Academy, we offer courses helping high school students get ready for university challenges. So on the screen, actually, I'm sharing one of our key program called University Bridging Program that really helping students to get prepared. Really, it's about what are the study skills and how to do your research projects, how to communicate, how you even talk to the professors, and to make sure that you are doing your best in the university. And if you're on the screen, you can actually see this program is actually run by 3 well-known professors from U of T, York, and also from Humber College. So if you are interested, I think it's not just about learning certain content, subject matters, but it also is about the learning the experience, learning about how to learn, learning how to become successful. So I think that's the program that I think for many of you, this is something that may of interest for you. And also, if you go through this project, finish all the sub projects, presentation, and you do get a chance to get even a reference letter from one of the professors, that can really help you to get to your university, the university you really want to get into. So just a short, quick advertising. I hope you'll like it or find it useful. Okay, let's move on to the next question. If you take IB, are you able to do a transfer credit?
Okay, so that's the one thing about Science 1. If you have, I had AP Science credits in biology and chemistry. For the science credits, no, you can take the credits for UBC. They'll still take your credits, but you won't be able to like be exempt from any Science 1 courses. Like if you're in Science 1, you apply, you register for the standard timetable and you have to take every class in that standard timetable. So that is one of, I guess, the downside. You can't be exempt from a science course like you would regular science. Um, but UBC will still take your credits. They just won't exempt you from the course. And then um, you can take English credits though. So my friend had English IB credits and some other art credits. So she took those credits and were exempt, and now she's exempt from her English classes and she's basically done all her arts requirements. You just won't be able to take, you just won't be able to be exempt from Science 1 specific classes.
Okay, next question is about what's the difference between IB bio and the AP bio.
Um, I don't know the difference entirely. I think if I'm correct, IB Bio, like HL and SL will have like a IB paper and then also an IB exam. AP Bio only has an exam, an AP exam, and they don't do a separate research paper. Um, and then in terms of how they help for Science 1, I think it's about equal. Like my IB bio friends also saw all this content, and I don't think taking either one, like I think taking either one is good, but I don't think one is better than the other in terms of preparing you. I think they're both good.
Okay, next question from Jeffrey. What courses did you take to apply to science?
I took Chem AP. I'm assuming high school courses. Chemistry AP. I took Bio AP. I did regular physics, so I didn't take physics IB or AP. And I took calculus. I don't know what it's called in Ontario, but in Alberta, it was called Math 31 and Math 35. So first semester and second semester calculus. And that basically covered all of first year calculus. And then those were the main courses that you need to take for science one, because they're science and math courses. I did regular English, so no English AP or IB, and I did history or social AP. So those were the main courses for me in high school.
Okay, I hope that answered Jeffrey's question. Okay, so let's see if anyone still have other questions coming up. Let's see. Okay. So I believe just now Catherine have shared with us the link to the website. I think that's where you can find most information. It's about how to apply and what are the requirements and what are the essay prompts, and I think you can find all those information there. But I think Catherine has been sharing us her personal experience. Yeah, thank you. That yeah. So, wow. Okay. So Cassie has been sharing with her own experience, right? Yeah. Okay. What is extracurricular?
Oh, I think May might be asking if I took any
Okay.
extracurriculars,
Yeah.
if I'm correct. In high school, I did like art. That was my biggest extracurricular. In university, I did not have time to take any extracurricular courses. So I only took English outside of Science 1. But some people took extracurriculars during Science 1. You'll have more room for extracurriculars as you go up in years.
Okay.
Any clubs?
Okay.
I was not. I really wish I joined a club, but I was not in a club. But my friend was in a aero designing engineering club. Oh, in high school, I was also not in a club in high school. Yeah, I basically only studied in high school. Don't do that. Join clubs, volunteer, have fun in high school, do extracurriculars in university and high school.
Okay. Yeah. But now, right? Okay, what can you do this year?
Oh, this
Lockdown.
yeah, this year's like I'm actually the secretary of a club now.
Oh, okay, good. We'll still make ourselves useful and do some.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, UBC has so many clubs, so many. There's a huge website for clubs, and I recommend there's a clubs day too. So I recommend when you guys go to UBC on your first day, explore clubs. There's so many. There's ones ranging from design clubs, which build airplanes, rockets, all that stuff. There's clubs that have to do with art or gaming. There's gaming clubs. There's so many at UBC. Volunteer hours. I had like zero. I had like very little volunteer hours in high school. I did not do much besides study in high school, which I don't recommend. But I had a few. I worked part-time, which was something I put on my application, and I did some science competitions on the side, which is what I also put.
Okay, so any other questions?
I got a direct message. What can help you be a top student in high school? Any suggestions to prepare? So, for high school, I don't want to actually advise students to follow exactly what I did, because I had a really boring high school life because all I did was study. But I think how to be a successful student, how I studied was retaking notes, definitely reviewing. So after you finish a class, that material doesn't stick with you. So maybe let it sit for a day, sleep on it, and then the next day, I really do recommend opening your notes, rewriting stuff, reviewing stuff, and don't cram. So I like to study in, say, 1 hour chunks before an exam instead of 9 hours the day before. Remember to get good sleep. I did so badly on exams when I didn't get good sleep. So sleep well. If something doesn't make sense to you, immediately ask your teacher. And the teachers are there to help. Don't be scared to ask your teacher. And also sometimes you just need to sleep on it. So if you're studying, it's getting really late, you're starting to panic and things aren't making sense, sometimes you really do just need to put your studying stuff away and go to sleep. A lot of things made more sense in the morning. So that's my advice, is just to be on top of things, review daily, but make sure to get your rest and make sure to have some fun in high school and university, because you'll get burnt out if you don't.
Okay, next two questions is all about competitions. Did you take any competitions in high school?
I'm trying to remember. I didn't until grade 12. In grade 12, I did a Waterloo team math competition, but it was more for fun. I wasn't super serious about it, but I did do a Waterloo math competition. And then I also, I forgot what it's called, but it was some sort of engineering competition where we had to build a fluidized bed. That was pretty fun. So those were the two competitions I did. A lot of my friends did a lot of math competitions, so like the Waterloo math, and there's a bunch of other math competitions. That's what they did. Yeah.
Okay, so we get, yeah,
Okay.
that's all the questions. Do you have any other direct message? No?
No.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, one more.
Yeah. When did you get in the high school? In high school, I went to I went to bed really late. I don't recommend that. But I usually went to bed around midnight to 1 a.m. and got up around 7. But please try and get 8 hours of sleep. So I would recommend 11 to 7. Um, and yeah, in university, do that too. Minimum 8 hours or whatever works for you. Don't deprive yourself of sleep. That's not a good way to succeed. Which competition? I think the science ones helped me the best because they're science one. So saying I was in a science competition showed some that I was interested in science outside of school. For Lucas's question, I feel like that's difficult to say because both with Science 1 and UBC, when you apply with an essay and you apply with your grades. I would aim, if you want science, I think science grades have been historically in the 80s to 90s. If you have above a 90, you're basically guaranteed, basically, not 100%. If you're in the 80s, if you write a strong personal profile or strong essay, I don't think you have anything to worry about. But for aiming wise, I do think your best chance is to aim in the high 80s to 90s.
Yeah, it's a very competitive
Yes.
program. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I think that's 60 minutes, an hour. Thank you, Catherine, for sharing with us again after 6 months. And thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. And thank you for everyone who has been asking questions. And it's a great opportunity for us to learn together as a community. And I would like to, on behalf of Upstream Academy, thank you, Catherine, again. So if
Thank you.
anyone still have questions, you can actually post it. You can send email to Catherine. You can even post it to our website. And we actually will put this video on YouTube and our website as well. You can always go back and check on it. And hopefully this will help you for the university application 2021 or 2022, 2023. So hope this will help you in your future academic success and career success as well.
Yeah. Good luck, everyone. Don't be too stressed. I'm sure you guys will all get into the program or university you want to.
Okay, you want to know more about our bridging program? You can always go to our website. And we also, just for May, who asked about writing, we also have a writing program as well. So I hope there's something that can help you to become successful in your university application. So yeah, any questions, just write to us. And I hope everybody have a great Saturday evening, Saturday night. Okay, bye everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Yes. Thank you for inviting me.